In the quiet woods of Greenwood, California, September 2015, a well-known Buchanan family, Nolan, his father, his little brother, and a sweet stepmother, a happy family. He was the good kid everyone liked, polite to neighbors, friendly at school, and respectful in public. But then, one day, in the silence of that woods, Nolan Buchanan pulled the trigger, again and again, until the people who loved him most were gone. Then he walked away, left the flames to finish the job, and smiled for the world like nothing happened. What could make him so heartless, so cold, that he didn't even spare his little brother, shooting the child in the head without a second thought? It was Monday, September 14th, 2015, a day 16-year-old Nolan Buchanan would later say felt like the best of his life. The day before, he'd been living what he thought was his perfect weekend. A Sunday morning mass with his girlfriend's family, a get-together with friends, a romantic evening with the girl he adored. And now, on Monday morning, Nolan woke up next to her, feeling like a young man who had the whole world in his hands. Why wouldn't he? He was set to inherit Buchanan Construction, his family's business. There were cars, a house, land, and money that would one day be his. In Nolan's mind, he could run the company better than his father ever did, especially since his dad had driven it toward bankruptcy. But within just over 2 weeks, Nolan's dream would shatter. On October 1st, 2015, police officers from the El Dorado County Sheriff's Office walked into Bonita High School in California and arrested Nolan in front of his classmates. He was taken to the Juvenile Treatment Center in South Lake Tahoe. 3 years later, in June 2018, a jury of 7 men and 5 women deliberated for only 2 hours before returning a verdict, guilty on 3 counts. Nolan was sentenced to 150 years in prison, with a possibility of parole after 25 years. But how did a model student, someone friends described as kind and respectful, end up serving what is essentially a life sentence? To answer that, we have to go back to how Nolan's life looked from the outside, and then peel back the layers. Nolan's father, Adam Buchanan, owned a construction company. He met Molly McAfee when she came in to apply for a job as an office manager. Adam was divorced and raising Nolan on his own. Molly, cheerful, warm, and blonde, immediately caught his attention. The attraction was mutual. They soon moved in together, and before long, Molly gave birth to a boy named Gavin. From the outside, they looked like a close-knit family. Adam's company earned enough to keep them comfortable, and they even bought a rustic vacation cabin in Greenwood, California. It wasn't much to look at, no electricity, water, or sewer, but it sat on 19 acres and had the kind of quiet Adam liked. He spent weekends remodeling it, and the family visited often. On September 13th, 2015, at around 10 a.m., firefighters in Greenwood responded to a wildfire near Highway 193. When they arrived, they found about 10 acres scorched, and the Buchanan's cabin burned to the ground. At first, they assumed the remains inside were just from an animal caught in the fire. But as the flames died down and the coroner stepped inside the blackened ruins, the smell of burnt flesh hit him. Among the ashes, they found a human skull and a burned torso. Soon they realized it wasn't just one person. It looked like 2 people had died. The property had a Dodge truck and a trailer still parked nearby. The plates came back to Buchanan Construction, Adam's company. Police in Bonita were sent to do a welfare check. They arrived at Adam's home, where they found Nolan. He told them his father, Molly, and Gavin had gone to the cabin for the weekend and were due back that evening. No one connected the dots yet, but that would change in less than 48 hours. At first, investigators thought maybe the cabin fire had been a tragic accident, perhaps sparked by the propane tanks inside. But on September 15th, everything changed. Detectives sifting through debris found part of a skull with a bullet hole. Another victim had a bullet lodged in their thigh. And the skull with the bullet hole? It was from a child. This was no accident. The fire had been set to cover up a murder. When forensic testing came back, it confirmed the worst. The remains belonged to Adam, Molly, and 8-year-old Gavin. All had been shot before the fire. And the killer? Still unknown. Police first looked at possible grudges tied to Buchanan Construction. The company was failing, in debt by more than $30,000, and some recently fired employees were bitter. They also dug into Adam and Molly's marriage, which was falling apart. Molly had written in her diary about Adam's verbal and physical abuse, and witnesses confirmed there was tension in the home. But the theory of a domestic murder-suicide fell apart when no gun was found at the scene. That meant a fourth person had been in the cabin. Nolan told police the family left for the cabin in a Dodge truck. He said he stayed home to watch the house. He even hinted at a feud between his father and a neighbor who grew marijuana, suggesting maybe that neighbor had reason to kill Adam. Police canvassed the area and found the neighbor who had an alibi. Then, on September 19th, a break came. During a community cleanup near Buchanan Construction, students found a purse, IDs, and a .22 caliber rifle hidden under a bush. Tests showed it was the murder weapon, and it had Nolan's fingerprints. Detectives got security footage from Adam's company and saw something strange. On the Friday before the fire, Adam towed a trailer full of rocks to the cabin using a white Ford F-150, not the Dodge Nolan had claimed. That meant the Ford was driven back after the murders and parked at the Buchanan home. More digging revealed Nolan had used his father's credit card at Taco Bell that Friday, buying 4 drinks. 4 drinks meant 4 people, meaning Nolan was with his family, not at home. Prosecutors pieced together the events. On Saturday night, Adam and Molly went to a bar, leaving Gavin and Nolan at the cabin. Sometime during that night, Nolan took the .22 rifle and shot his younger brother Gavin in the head while the boy was in bed. The bullet struck at nearly a perfect right angle, meaning Gavin was lying still when he was killed. Hours later, when Adam and Molly returned, Nolan ambushed them inside the cabin, shooting Adam first, then Molly. With all 3 dead, Nolan gathered their papers, poured gasoline over the bodies, and set the cabin ablaze. He then drove the Ford back home, hid the rifle and IDs, and spent the day with his girlfriend to create an alibi. When confronted with the evidence, Nolan claimed self-defense, saying his father had killed Molly and Gavin, and he had wrestled the gun away and shot Adam by accident. The jury didn't believe him. The careful planning, the fake alibi, hiding the weapon, burning the scene, showed premeditation. On July 13th, 2018, Nolan was found guilty of 3 counts of first-degree murder and sentenced to 150 years in prison. Even now, Nolan maintains his innocence. If he's ever granted parole, he'll face a huge restitution payment to his surviving family. The truth, however, seems clear to investigators. A 16-year-old who wanted the family business and the freedom that came with it decided the only way to get it was to wipe out his own blood. If you like this video, hit the like button and subscribe our channel to watch more intense crime stories regularly. See you in the next video.